Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, guys, this is from Academic Kids, and there's a few more items I'm going to share probably tomorrow. Attack the attacker and fair game policy. I wonder what Rathburn and Rinder know about this. Scientology is reputed for its hostile actions towards anyone that criticizes it in a public forum. It is proclaimed that it is not a turn the other cheek religion. Journalists, politicians, aggrieved former Scientologists, and various anti-cult groups have made accusations of wrongdoing against Scientology since the 1970s. And almost without exception, these critics have been targeted for retaliation by Scientology in the form of lawsuits and counter-accusations of personal wrongdoing. Many of Scientology's critics have also reported they were subject to threats and harassment in their private life. LAPD is fine with that. Makes me wonder how many LAPD officers have done the same. Doesn't it make you guys wonder? Inquiring minds want to know. The organization's actions reflect a formal policy for dealing with criticism instituted by L. Ron Hubbard called Attack the Attacker. This policy was codified by Hubbard in the latter half of the 1960s in response to government investigations into the organization. In 1966, Hubbard wrote a criticism of the organization's behavior and noted the correct procedure for attacking enemies of Scientology. Mike Rinder, does this sound familiar? 1. Spot who is attacking us. 2. Start investigating them promptly for felonies. Can you imagine such a criminal organization having that as a policy? What do you guys think, LAPD? Aren't you curious about all this? Felonies are worse using own professionals, not outside agencies, like PIs. Like PIs. 3. Double curve our reply by saying we welcome an investigation of them. Listen to this next one closely. I guess I already read some of this. I'm sorry that I'm repeating. Number 4. Sounds very ritualistic, you guys. Wakey MF wakey. Start feeding lurid blood, sex, crime, actual evidence on the attackers to the press. Don't ever tamely submit to an investigation of us. Make it rough on attackers all the way. That's a big OSA thing, isn't it? You can get reasonable about it and lose. Sure, we break no laws. Sure, we have nothing to hide. But attackers are simply an anti-Scientology propaganda agency. See what he's doing? So far as we are concerned, he's inverting everything. They have proven they want no facts and will only lie no matter what they discover. It says a guy who said, children are adults in small bodies. So banish all ideas that any fair hearing is intended and start our attack with their first breath. Never wait. Never talk about us. Only them. Does that sound familiar? Use their blood, sex, crime to get headlines. Wasn't someone just recently talking about Aaron Smith Levin's sex life? Huh. I must be hallucinating. Don't use us. Attacks on Scientology. Hubbard Communications Office. Policy Letter, 25 February 1966. The organization's tactics and methods for attacking its critics have remained largely unchanged since then. Hubbard detailed his rules for attacking critics, questioners, in a number of policy letters, including one often quoted by critics, the Fairgame policy, which allowed that suppressive persons, that is, those who had been declared enemies of the church, including children, like, I'm trying to think of her name. I'll think of it later. May be deprived of property, not like they have a lot, or injured by any means. Or injured by any means, LAPD. May be tricked, sued, or lied to, or destroyed. Scientologists sometimes claim that Hubbard canceled the Fairgame policy in 1968. What the HCO policy letter of 21 October 1968 actually says, however, is the practice of declaring people fair game will cease. Fair game may not appear on any ethics order. They're just cleaning up the crimes. It causes bad public relations, you see. This policy letter does not cancel any policy on the treatment or handling of a suppressive person. Under pressure by separate investigations into Scientology in England, New Zealand, and Australia, and bad publicity in the press, Fairgame was publicly canceled in 1969. Right. HCOP, March 7, 1969. However, in 1977, FBI raids on Scientology investigated because of Scientology Guardian's Office. The one Rinder was in. Infiltration of various government agencies by Scientology uncovered Guardian's Office training materials. The GO hat packs. The packs included numerous Hubbard HCOPLs, policy letters, and HCOBs, bulletins, that were considered policy for GO agents. These included the March 7th, 1965 HCOPL Fair Game policies, allegedly canceled. This HCOPL was also star-rated, meaning GO agents were expected to pay particular attention to this HCOPL and to be drilled on it. Jane Kember and Mo Budlong, top GO officials, did admit that in fact fair game was policy in the GO, U.S. versus Kember, Budlong sentencing. Memorandum, updated 1981. Mary Sue Hubbard, Hubbard's wife, ran the GO under Hubbard's supervision. Did you guys know that all of them got 5 years? I have to go back and check on Mary Sue Hubbard. That's what they got. And I would love to, you guys know they were fair gamed. But wouldn't you guys love to know what they would have had to say? In separate cases in 1979 and 1984, attorneys for Scientology argued that the fair game policy was in fact a core belief of Scientology and as such deserved protection. Can you guys believe this? As religious expression. Threats and intimidation, you guys. Threats and intimidation, which is a crime in the United States and numerous countries. That's religious expression. Just like freedom of religion to sexually assault children, to physically abuse children, to neglect children, to deprive the children of their right to education, to deprive the children of their basic necessities of life, food, water, clothing, and shelter. That's freedom of expression. Violating all of their rights, abusing them, neglecting them, depriving the children of their basic needs. A term defined by Hubbard and used frequently within Scientology is dead agenting. Used as a verb, dead agenting is described by Hubbard as countering negative or false accusations against Scientology by diverting the critical statements and making counter accusations against the accuser. Attack the attacker. Where have we seen that before? Hubbard defined the PR public relations policy on dead agenting in a 1974 bulletin. Can't dead agent me. You can't dead agent me. It's Kelly Copter. She was deemed a suppressive person at 6 years old. Isn't that wonderful? The technique of proving utterance is false is called dead agenting. It's in the first book of Chinese espionage. So basically, that's probably where he got it from. He stole it from everywhere. When the enemy agent gives false data, those who believed him but now find it false, K him. Or at least cease to believe him. So the PR slang for it is dead agenting. L. Ron Hubbard, Board Policy Letter, Series 24, Handling Hostile Contacts, Dead Agenting, May 30th, 1974. Now you guys see why they walk around looking all crazy? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean. But dang. Okay, once again, I'm going to change the word critic to questioner. Because Questioners of Scientology state that dead agenting is commonly used on the news group Alternate Religion Scientology to discredit and slander them. Yeah, they would know, wouldn't they? They know all about slandering and discrediting people. And they define the term as to spread malicious lies and rumors about Scientology, questioners, or organization in an attempt to so thoroughly discredit them that everyone concerned will be disgusted with them and not listen to the information they have to give about the cult. In the last decade, the church is focused on questioners who use the internet as a forum. The Electronic Frontier Foundation maintains an archive of documents related to the church's efforts to interfere with online critics. Wouldn't you guys love to know all the names that were associated with the documents of the online questioners? Much of the controversy surrounding Scientology is reflected in the long list of legal incidents associated with the organization, including the criminal conviction of core members of the Scientology organization. Seems like those were like the only ones convicted. And allegedly they got like 5 years. I wonder how much they served. In 1978, a number of Scientologists, including L. Ron Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue Hubbard, who was second in command in the organization at the time. I personally don't think she was a great person. From everything that I read about her, I don't think she was that great of a person. You know, so much narcissism in this whole entire organization. Second in command in the organization at the time were convicted of perpetrating the largest incident of domestic espionage in the history of the United States. But it's okay to abuse children, you guys, just so you know. That's fine. Called Operation Snow White within the church, was involved in infiltrating, wiretapping, and stealing documents. Isn't that racketeering right there, you guys? Stealing documents from the offices of federal attorneys and the Internal Revenue Service. Yeah, you know what they got in turn, you guys? For all of that, they got an exemption to pay taxes. You know, you want to traffic children, here's your exemption. The judge who convicted Mrs. Hubbard and 10 accomplices. Wonder how Rinder never got busted. Because Rinder and who else was in OSA? Not just Rinder. How is it that he didn't get convicted? And like I said, not just Rinder. There were a lot more people. How is it they didn't get convicted? The judge who convicted Mrs. Hubbard, you know, the one with no name, and 10 accomplices decried their attempt to plead. Listen, you guys. You can't even make it up, you guys. You can't make it up. Freedom of religion in defense. So they've been using that a long time. Unreal. It is interesting to note that the founder of their organization, unindicted co-conspirator, L. Ron Hubbard, wrote in his dictionary entitled Modern Management Technology Defined that truth is what is true for you. Ignoramus statement right there. Thus, with the founder's blessings, they could wantonly commit perjury as long as it was in the interest of Scientology. How long is this going to go? Hold on. The defendants rewarded criminal activities that ended in success and sternly rebuked those that failed. The standards of human conduct embodied in such practices represent no less than the absolute perversion of any known ethical value system. In view of this, it defies the imagination that these defendants have the unmitigated audacity to seek to defend their actions in the name of religion. That these defendants now attempt to hide behind the sacred principles of freedom of religion. You know, aren't we one of the only countries that have this? Which principles they repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to violate with impunity, adds insult to the injuries which they have inflicted on every element of society. Following the episode, offices of the church in Los Angeles, California, and Washington, D.C. were searched by FBI agents and documents confiscated. 11 church staff, including Mary Sue Hubbard and other highly placed officials, pleaded guilty or were convicted in federal court based on evidence seized in the raids and received sentences from 2 to 6 years. Everywhere I've read it was always 5, but some suspended. Isn't that great? There is a disagreement over the extent to which the illegal activities had been sanctioned by the church. I mean, I can't help but laugh. The Church of Scientology claims that a rogue branch of the church was responsible, and that group was shut down when their abuses came to light. And responsible staff members, that include children? Because you know a lot of the children are staff members, were expelled or sanctioned. Some observers believe that the reorganization was simply an internal coup by one church faction to eliminate the power of a rival faction, which did nothing to change the church's ethical standards. Former members allege that illegal operations were conducted after the arrests even that they are ongoing today, a change that is vigorously denied by the Church. Deny, deny, deny. Other noteworthy incidents involving criminal accusations against the Church of Scientology include: during the 1960s, Scientology was accused by the United States government of engaging in medical fraud by claiming that the e-meter would treat and cure physical ailments and diseases. Looks like greed won, doesn't it? A 1971 ruling of the United States District Court, District of Columbia, specifically stated the e-meter has no proven usefulness in the diagnosis, treatment, or prevention of any disease, nor is it medically or scientifically capable of improving any bodily function. As a result of this ruling, Scientology now publishes disclaimers in its books, in publications declaring that the e-meter does nothing and that it is used specifically for spiritual purposes. In 1978, L. Ron Hubbard was convicted in absentia. Listen to that, LAPD. How about that? He has a felony by French authorities of engaging in fraud and sentenced to 4 years in prison. LAPD, how about it? Hubbard was not present at the trial in France. Yeah, because allegedly nobody was able to find him. Isn't that wonderful? Just like David Miscavige can go over and show himself at the Shrine Auditorium with all those cops around him. Is it the Brotherhood? Inquiring MF minds want to know. Was not present at the trial in France, though the head of the French Church of Scientology was convicted at the same trial and given a suspended 1-year prison sentence. Oh, 1 whole year, huh? The FBI raid on the church's headquarters revealed documentation that detailed Scientology's actions against various critics of the organization. Among these documents was a plan to allegedly frame the mayor of the city of Clearwater, Florida. Plans to discredit the skeptical organization, CSICOP, by spreading rumors that it was a front for the CIA, and a project called Operation Freakout, aimed at ruining the life of author Paulette Cooper, author of an early book critical of the movement, The Scandal of Scientology. And we already know how much misogyny goes on. They attempted, with her, they attempted to take her out. Yeah. You guys know there's probably more that actually were taken out, right? In 1988, the government of Spain arrested Scientology president Heber Jensch, and 10 other members of the organization on various charges, including illicit association, coercion, fraud, and labor law violations. Jensch left Spain, was he fleeing? And returned to the United States after Scientology paid a bail bond of approximately $1 million. And he has not returned to the country since. Scientology fought the charges in court for 14 years until the case was finally dismissed in 2002. You see what they do? Isn't Heber Jensch now in the, the rumor about him is that he's got memory issues and he's in there, like wherever they put the elder, sickly people. And we know that his son was sexually abused at 12 years old by a 40-year-old woman. Also known as pedophilia. Yeah. Isn't that great, LAPD? Yeah. Oh, don't worry. The Jensch child, he's no longer with us. But, who cares, right? In France, several officials of the Church of Scientology had been convicted, LAPD, convicted. Does that mean you can be still unbiased? Convicted of crimes such as embezzlement. The church was listed as a dangerous cult in a parliamentary report. The Church of Scientology long considered the Cult Awareness Network, CAN, as one of its most important enemies. In many Scientology publications during the 1980s and 1990s, cast CAN and its spokesperson at the time, Cynthia Kisser, in an unfriendly light, accusing the cult watchdog organization of various criminal activities. After CAN was forced into bankruptcy and taken over by Scientologists in the late 1990s, Scientology proudly proclaimed this as one of its greatest victories. Source: Scientology press release issued upon winning the CAN court battle, and another view from the American Lawyer, June 1997. Little did they know that that wasn't going to stop anyone. Anyways, I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.